Our journey begins with my daughter, Alyssa. She was 9 years old and she had started growth hormones and she had some spots on her. So I went to the pediatrician and I asked to see a dermatologist, and he told me, well, children don't have skin issues, but if it'll make you feel better, I'll send you to a dermatologist. And so I said, yes, it will make me feel better. So I went to a dermatologist. He took a biopsy, and in a couple weeks we'd have the results. So I got a call from the dermatologist, and he said, Mrs. DeYoung, your daughter has melanoma, skin cancer. They sent us to St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. And of course, we were terrified walking in the door, having no idea what to expect. The first thing that happened is we met a doctor, Dr. Papo, who we later found out is the leading doctor on pediatric melanoma. And the first thing he did was sat down, looked at Alyssa's medical history, and said, okay, there has to be something bigger going on with this picture. And of course, then right in his office, I broke down in tears because for 9 years, no one would listen to me. They kept dismissing me as a crazy mother. And all of a sudden, I'm at St. Jude Children's Research Hospital with this leading researcher who's sitting down, listening to me and telling me he's going to get me answers. They got all the cancer out of Alyssa. But the other thing he did was he went a step further and he took her entire medical history, and it took him about 6 months. And he started researching and calling and reaching out to other places, and finally finding her diagnosis, which she was diagnosed with something called Coulin-Dufries syndrome, which is a microdeletion on your 17th chromosome, which was a huge deal for us because now all of a sudden, not only had he cured my daughter and gotten rid of the cancer, but now he's given us a diagnosis for something we've been looking for 9 years, 9.5 years now. So it meant educationally, we could go back and get her the help she needed. Medically, we knew what we were looking out for. We could get her the help she needed. And so now not only was my daughter going to live and survive, but now she's going to be able to thrive. And then in February of the next year, all of a sudden,
my son Tyler, who was 6 years old at the time, started falling asleep in class and wasn't feeling well, arm and leg pains, night sweats, and we would take him back to the pediatrician, and the pediatrician kept telling us that there was nothing wrong, that he was fine, he was seeking attention, it was normal 6-year-old behavior and growing pains. And this went on for several months, and he could no longer put any weight on his arms and legs, and he crawled from his bedroom to ours in excruciating pain, just screaming and crying. You know, I just thought there's just got to be something else. And within a few hours, we were admitted to the hospital and still not even knowing what was going on. So the next morning came and the head of the hospital came down and he said, someone from St. Jude is coming over to talk to you. And right then, you know, our world stopped again. It's like time just stands still. And the doctor from St. Jude came over and said, we think he has leukemia and we're transporting him right now to St. Jude. And even though we were terrified, scared beyond belief, I knew that I was going to the best place. We knew we were going where we needed to be. By Monday morning, so February the 4th of 2013, in comes this fiery doctor, Dr. Pui, first time we'd met him, and he says Tyler has ALL, which is acute lymphoblastic leukemia, and we're getting ready to take him into surgery and begin chemotherapy and everything today. So Tyler really fought hard. He's a hard fighter, and in August of 2015, Tyler's journey ended with a no-mo chemo party, and he successfully completed treatment. He is now cancer-free, which is amazing, all thanks to St. Jude. So we started moving forward in life. We started to put St. Jude behind us because it had been such an active part of our life, and something else happened.
So we get back from our trip from Disney in December, and my husband, we noticed, had been snoring a lot. We all noticed it on the trip because we're in this room together. I thought, wow, that snoring's getting really bad. You need to go check it out. His throat was also hurting and bothering him. So he goes to the doctor and they said, oh, we think you have a throat infection. Here's some antibiotics and we should set you up for a sleep study. It kept getting worse and his throat was really bothering him. And I said, you need to go see an ENT because a regular doctor's not helping you. So he goes into the ENT and they're looking in his throat and they see something and they said, there looks like your tonsil is infected. And he said, I had my tonsils taken out when I was a child. So of course they started the process. Well, let's do a scan, let's do a biopsy, let's check it out, just be careful. We get in there and we get the news that my husband has throat cancer. And his cancer was throat cancer, and they said it was stage 4. When we heard stage 4, and we thought, oh my God, they're stage 4, so we're too late. But fortunately, throat cancer works a little differently, and with the radiation, they were able to shrink everything back down. And so a year later, my husband was also done with treatment. He got to ring the bell. So we find that telling our story and giving back and letting others know that are on the beginning part of the journey what the journey will be like goes a long way to helping them.
And one thing we learned through this journey is that the most important thing is your family. And we do everything for our family. But we try to think of things that we could do. How do you say thank you to someone like St. Jude who has given you something you don't put a price tag on? So the first year when Alyssa was diagnosed, we started a team, and it was Team Alyssa Rocks. And we got together with some friends and we did the family fun run, and we were like, this is great. And we raised about, $9,000 for the hospital. And so the next year Tyler was diagnosed, so we became Team Alyssa Rocks and Do Dance. And we started this massive fundraising campaign, and this is now our 7th year coming up in 2018, where we are actively fundraising for St. Jude. Our team has raised around $300,000 for the hospital, and we keep striving to do that. Angela and I, who are neither one big runners, have done 2 half marathons. And last year, I think the most moving thing for both of us was Alyssa and Tyler completed the 10K with us as St. Jude heroes. And part of all of this is just to give back and raise awareness and to let people know, cancer is just a diagnosis. And what you do with it, you have to move forward. You have to put on your gloves. You have to fight. You have to continue to live life and treasure every single moment.